Don't worry, cruel world. I'm not going to get into the habit of making broadcasts to go online. In fact, genuinely, in my little van, I call that my writing desk. And I went back 2 or 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, in fact, to just preferring to write fountain penned notes. And furthermore, because it's not eccentric, the crap that you buy these days, the biros, even my local meant to be community store, you buy a set of felt pens, which older people, it's good for you to write in larger writing. They last about 3 weeks. Anyway, bad news, everybody. You see, you realise speaking with or communicating with. Now, I don't believe in sides, really. I believe in philosophy, but not the fancy pants version. There's plenty in Plato that is quite valid today. It's not about using knowledge to seem a clever dick and get one over on anybody else. Homespun knowledge, common sense. Oh, that again. That comes on when the voltage is low and it won't charge the laptop. Yeah, bad news. You see, there are great books that have been written. Too Much Medicine was one. Moynihan, I think that was, etc., etc. Ben Goldacre's reasonably good. Big Pharma and all that. But you see, it's not my side, because there are no sides when it comes to your body. Your body, you need to be happy, be positive. No, we already covered that. Be true to yourself. That's what it's about. By the time you get middle age, let's be crystal clear. This disease, this pathogen, is attuned to the older and less well, and it's quite simple. Yeah, once you get to middle age, I mean, there are a nurse actually told me about a year ago that only 10% of the in a Somerset hospital. I believed her. She was a good woman, intelligent. Yeah, she told me to my face that only 10% of people seriously ill in their hospital then had this bug. So it's the other 90% that matter far more. Now, okay, that's a little bit, it's not subversive. It's just like a lot of people are they're making more than careers, because there's something more important than a career. They're projecting their identity out there into the world via this. But bad news, everybody. You see this. Now, people, the skeptics, most all my friends are thoughtful, not tinfoil hat, not ranting idiot savants. But that, let's call that a side. Even they are sucked into something, and I'm not going to waffle on about it, but and they will use the term the hysteria the last year and a half. I've used the term too, but it's not really, it's the wrong term. What this is about, I mean, there's a great book by Atul Gawande called Being Mortal, a proper cancer surgeon, where he very, very intelligently, although because he's makes his career from being a doctor. But he basically says that lots of people are coming into his world towards the end of their cancer journey, and they're holding too much on to medical science. They're ruining their lives, that what little they have left, by endlessly looking for new treatments. the book, Doctrine of DNA, there's a beautiful, the real life-changing thing in that was the passage. There are a few passages that describe how detail never matters. Sorry, it doesn't. Overviews matter. You go to a churchyard round here. Oh, I'm in Wales today. Oh, are we breaking some rule? And this matters because you actually feel uncomfortable, or have done for the last year and a half coming into Wales. Go to a churchyard round here. You'll see from 100, 200 years ago, plenty of gravestones from those age, 75, 80. This notion, it's completely miscommunicated that over the last 50 years, 100 years, medical science has prolonged the age of the human species. It's fallacious. Lewontin pointed out, paraphrase, if you got past 30, 200 years ago, you'd on average live to 70-ish. It's in the Sky Fairy book, I believe, the Bible, 70 years and 10. But this notion, you hear it so often misreported. Report is the wrong word. I mean, if you're going to be a fucking reporter, learn a little bit of basic science, not technology. Learn what the scientific enlightenment actually project is. It's to ascertain truths. The truth is that there have been some developments the last 30, 40 years in terms of prolonging people's life once they become seriously ill in their 70s. Yes. Kind of, so what? But we generally lived to a fairly ripe old age 100 years ago, 200 years ago, regardless. And this is continually misinterpreted. It's from a pulpit that we've doubled human lifespan. It's absolute rubbish. But bad news, everybody. I forget exactly who it was, but there's a big union or somebody who came out a few days ago speaking about pension rules. Yes, actuaries have discovered that actually our life expectancy isn't expected. In fact, it's really, really plateaued. You'll see sensationalist news, America here, as it did in Russia 20 years ago, that it may even be dipping back down. So yeah, bad news. You ain't going to live forever. And in fact, the actuaries are revising things such that they don't believe that there is going to be much more of an improvement. Wonderful medical surgeon Kit Byatt said in public 7 or 8 years ago, there's clearly a problem with all this over-medicalising. But you see, what's this about? It's not even about, hysteria. It's this tragic sort of inability of people to accept, no, humanity can't really control everything. And you have seen this in so many different, in fact, in reality, this comes from the health and safety culture and and that sounds subversive. No. In fact, I spent a few years with somebody some years ago. We wanted the Green politicians to do better in this area. I met the cycle officer for South Shropshire and a slightly older than middle-aged woman. Very, very sweet-sounding conformist lady. But she said, and she was quite right, and I've experienced this myself, heresy. She actually said she wasn't sure about wearing cycle helmets. Now, I know this because I, for several years, couldn't afford even to keep a vehicle on the road. More than it did me so much good having to do much more cycling. I know this. If you haven't got a helmet on, and this, there will be those who say, "Oh yes, it's a complete subversive, adrenaline junkie nutcase." No, no, no. I actually want to live forever, and I can't afford to be ill. Meaning nobody can look after my ferrets. I really am very careful about my functionality. If you're cycling the lanes, for example, in the summer, best example, but there are many others, you learn when you're going under a tree, especially in autumn, keep your mouth shut, because that's the most likely place you're going to find gatherations of wasps or flies. And a fly going into your mouth, if you're cycling along, doesn't matter how much lycra or armour you've got on, that can really ruin your day. Or a wasp, of course, is even worse. So the point being that the helmet, the whole, the armour that they all wear, it's a wrong phrase, a false sense of security. No, if you want to live longest, well, first of all, anybody that cycles fast is an idiot. Doesn't matter how much armour they've got on, because, particularly in the countryside, because from nowhere, in fact, it happened to me a few months ago. It was really funny, and I did actually have my camera on. Something can come out into the road. An animal can come out into the road unpredictably. It's never happened in your life, but it happens that day. And if you're cycling fast, you can be dead just like that, or badly injured. It's because you know that, yes, I don't use the word, it's every other word on Radio 4, you're vulnerable. You learn to use your ears to listen what's coming up from behind. And all of these strategies that you learn, and like all learning, you learn through your mistakes and the fear, the terror when it's gone wrong, and you realise you're a lot safer. That no cycle helmet is going to make much difference. It's what you learn from actually cycling, if you can survive it, that matters. That will keep you alive. I know I'm bulletproof on a bicycle because I'm so aware from what I've learned. No helmet would make much difference. No vehicle's going to get anywhere near me, because I'm listening. Right, yeah, off on a tangent, not really. Yeah, bad news. You can't control your longevity. Even the actuaries have come out with that. And that's what this is really about. But you see, the tragedies are continual. I mean, it's this stupid phrase, people are divided. No. There is a sort of smug conformity, which is actually dilettantism. And I encountered it yesterday yet again. It's but really sad. One of the person who I enjoy and value the most, who's got a sense of humour. Yeah, an old person, very old, in her own words, even a cold would take him off. Now, that means that I'm not allowed to have an intelligent conversation about the thousands of young adults in Wales today. Now, of course, it's trite to say just because they can't go to the nightclubs, bit of hardship does people well, does people good. But it's that look that you get. It's like, no, you can't say that. Excuse me, if somebody is so old and ill, and this hurt me, this actually hurt me. She knows that I'm a balanced, sane, careful person, and yet trespass into this world of this completely false paradigm of we have got it all under control. Forget about COVID. I mean, in fact, in my last video, I mentioned a urine infection. Now, what that means is, because that's almost a euphemism, that what that means is you're a middle-aged chap who looks after himself, and yet 50 times a day you're pissing. You're pissing 30 times in the morning, and you can't necessarily control it all the time, so you end up smelling of piss. That's what it means. And you discover that medical science can't even deal with that conclusively. In fact, very interesting. I didn't research it, but I came across the knowledge, the truth, that because I had a few tests for urine infection. Is my prostate going? That's the first thing they say. The truth is that the testing regime for urine infections is apparently almost guesswork. Now, okay, I'll get shot down in flames for that, but it doesn't appear, the impression given by the public commentariat about such things is that, oh yeah, urine infection test is, of course it's going to be, the height of modern science. We dealt with such things decades ago. No. So yes, just this notion that we must always have forefront our strategies regarding the future of this human-shaped biome, when in fact so many of those strategies are completely and utterly wrong. I know I'll live to 100 just to piss myself off because there's nobody left to talk with anymore. Even my so cherished, lovely, quite subversive in a kind of middle-class British way, no, you can't talk about her father may be taken off by cold, so you're not allowed to talk about this thing. You do have a totalitarianism, a tyranny, and it's not intentional. I've known politicians; they couldn't organise a piss up in the brewery. They're constantly fighting with each other. No, this is from the people. You need to let go. That's what it's about. You need to accept. You can't control your destiny. But there's one thing for sure. The sages knew this, the old philosophers, even your trendy Eastern philosophers knew this. Let go and stay on the kind, authentic, good path that comes from years of understanding and analysing your own proclivities for, we all have them, great movie, Land of the Blind. That's kind of where we are, basically. Donald Sutherland. A rare, great... well, actually, there were lots of good American movies in the 60s. I watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner last night. Wonderful. If only we had filmmakers like that left. Yeah. This is coming from inside everybody. Both sides. Intelligent people knew decades ago. If you've got a school bully, which in this instance is a sort of neurotic boss, the bossocracy, who took forward health and safety culture. Essentially, I don't use the word really. I used it in my last video. The bullies, ignore them, laugh at them, carry on playing, and make great jokes about Boris at his parties. Full stop.